Hello everyone. So per several requests, I'm going to do a video on how to do cornrows on a doll. I say a lot. I apologize in advance. Hopefully I don't screw this thing up too bad. So I've done 2 with cornrows, and the one that got the most requests was let's see if I can put it in the screen. Not really set up for this. Okay, so this style with the one that I did with the rainbow. This girl. And having done that one, and also having done, let's see if I can get that, there we go. Having done this one with the shorter cornrows, the shorter ones definitely work better. And that's just because the weight, let me show you the longer one with a different angle. So this girl with the longer ones, yes, the long ones are super fun. Everyone likes them. However, the long hair, with the beads, like the weight of the beads start to affect the structural integrity of the doll. And this one, the rainbow one, like, honestly, it's probably, like, a kid wouldn't notice, but I definitely did, and that's why I probably, going forward, would prefer the shorter style. I mean, the style on it is not the problem. It's, like, the length and where the weight of the beads fall. So my first point is, this neck, I think it's, like, 15 or 16 stitches around. I'm not entirely sure. That's probably the thinnest neck that I would do. If I did another one with longer hair, even with like 15 or 16 stitches on the neck, I'd probably still want to put a dowel in it. If you have a doll, I mean, I wouldn't really recommend doing a doll with like a really thin neck, and I see a lot of dolls that have a thinner neck, it's like you just put a dowel in it. Even with the dowel, I'm not entirely sure that it would work out super well with the weight of the beads. So that's thing 1. So thing 2 is, I think this one I'm going to do another style like the strawberry one, which is just like parted slightly to one side, and then there's 2 layers on the right side and 1 layer on the left side. And so I've done this doll in a spiral. So I've put some pins in, so this is where the part is going to be, and then I've put some pins in, and I'm gonna do this hair in like this ridiculous color pink, so it's easier to see. Normally I'd be using black, but it's kind of hard to see, so I'm just gonna use this for the sake of this tutorial. But I would put pins like all the way around the back of the head, just because it's done in a spiral, so if you start lining them up, eventually they're not going to match, so you can be sort of strategic and gradually move your cornrows where you attach the cornrows up or down a little bit so that it's not very noticeable, because otherwise you're going to go and go and go, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like a jog in it, and it would bother, sorry, that is something that would kind of bother me. So that's why these pins are in, and honestly, like, for the sake of this, it's not super necessary. But there you go. Those are the few basic things. So the other thing about it is, so this doll, like, at least the head should be stuffed. I don't know what style doll you would use. The body is obviously not finished, but the head is done and it's stuffed, so now you can do the hair. You can't do it on like an empty doll head, like you have to have something. And this doll was created with, I think this is Red Heart Super Saver Cafe Latte. I usually use, the 3 colors that I use is Red Heart Super Saver in Buff, Cafe Latte, or Coffee. My strawberry girl, these 2 were mill ends, and I'm pretty sure that this was Karen 1 pound in, because it kind of feels like Karen 1 pound. I'm not sure the exact colorway because they came without a label, but if you want like a little bit of a bigger doll, the Karen 1 pound is a little bit thicker, and it works really, really well. I like it a lot. Okay, so this was also, these were done with a 4mm hook. to give you some perspective, the hook that I use for the cornrows is, let's see, 2.25 millimeters, and I use, this is Karen's Simply Soft. For a lot of my hair, I use the Red Heart Super Saver, but I've found that the very slightly thinner yarn of the Karen's Simply Soft works a lot better than continuing to use the Red Heart Super Saver, although you could probably get away with it if you really tried. It just, the thinner yarn allows you to fit more cornrows into a narrower space, and it just, with like a little bit of room in between, and I think it just looks better, having tried both. Okay, so, now onto the stuff that you actually want to see, and I will try to do this in the frame. So first I have like a giant bag of beads over here. So the first thing is to put a bead on your hook, and then just thread it onto your yarn. And now you're gonna, I leave excessively long tails because I hate not having enough tail, but, you know, however long, this one does not have to be that long. Just a few inches would really be sufficient, enough to just weave it into the head. Now I'm just gonna chain a bunch. Like however long you want the part that is not attached to your doll's head to be. And I would definitely recommend counting if you know, for consistency's sake, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. So now, I don't know how many chains that is, but I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook, and move the bead up to the end, and then slip stitch through. And that, let's see, takes a little bit of wiggling. Like with such a small hook, and Karen's Simply Soft is pretty splitty, it's not a fast process. So that's like your first stitch, and then you're just gonna slip stitch all the way up your chain. And you can probably fast forward through this part of the video. Videoing is not like really my forte, so I'm probably not gonna edit this bit out. This part is fairly tedious, but if you're good at working with smaller hooks, I don't usually use this size hook, so it's gonna take a little bit. Okay, so now you've gotten to the end of your chain, and normally that would be fine. If you just want to like attach a bunch of these to the head and do like a wig cap, and let me show you what your other alternative is. So some hair I do like this, and this is just a wig cap, and then I've made a bunch of chains and put some beads on, and then sewn each one of these chains into the head. That's another alternative. It's a lot easier than doing these cornrows. But if you want the cornrow look, what I've found is you've now gotten to the end of your chain normally, and then you have this one, you've got this like knot bit. You're gonna do one more slip stitch through the very, very end. And this is going to help it look like lay flatter on the head. I don't know how to describe it. I figured this out about halfway through the strawberry go. So slip stitch through there. And now you want to cut kind of a long thread. And you'll figure out how long to make it. It doesn't have to be that long, but better too much than too little. So you're going to cut that and then pull it through here. So now you got the end. Don't pull that super tight. It's not, you're going to be able to get it undone. You don't want to knot it at all, because you're going to undo it in a second. So now you're going to take your yarn needle and then thread all the beads that you want on. So your purple at the bottom is just like the stopper beads, so I got to do the rest of the rainbow. Presumably you want rainbow. Rainbows are fun. Okay. Right. So now you've got your strand or your braid, and now you're done adding beads. So now what you're going to do is pick this open and pull this up a little bit. So you want this part, you want it to be, it does not need to be this loose, but you don't want it like really, really insanely tight on here. So leave yourself a little bit of room. I've just found that it makes it easier. And now you're going to take your doll and decide where you want to start. So I'm actually going to pull this pin out. So this is going to be, so I usually start like at the midpoint of the eye, somewhere there about like maybe 2 stitches away. And okay, so I like my thread over here. So you're gonna put your hook through the surface of the head. Let me see if I can get a little bit better angle. And this is your long tail that you've just reattached to there. So you're gonna slip stitch through the head and through the very end of your chain thing, braid, and then you're gonna chain several more. So the length that you chain is just gonna be enough to get you to wherever you want to go. So that's right about here. At the top. So then you're just gonna slip stitch through there, and then if that's how far you want to go, just pull the end through, tighten it down, and then you would weave in this end and this end. If, for example, where is she? You're doing something like this where you want it to be rounder, what you can do is just you slip stitch several times, chain like 2 or 3, slip stitch again, chain 2 or 3 until you get where you want to go, and then you weave in the ends. And that you can get any shape you want by doing that. So let's see, I stand here. But for the purposes of this, that's how far I wanted to go. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I would weave in these ends, and you're going to be weaving in. It takes several hours to get a decent amount of hair. I mean, it would depend on, if you have like a doll with more surface area, then you could probably get away with using some thicker yarn, but these dolls have a pretty small surface area, so the thinner yarn is necessary. And that's pretty much all there is to it. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, so that's about it. Bye.